You're back to Global Business Reports. The Nigerian Customs Service says it will define its revenue push this year toward a more effective, transparent, and revenue-optimized operation for the good of the country through stakeholder engagement. Joining me now for more on this and more is the Comptroller General of Customs, Mr. Bashir Adeniyi. Good morning to you, Comptroller General. It's good to see you on Arise News and specifically on Global Business Reports. Thanks for coming in for this live interview.
Thank you very much, Bosun. It's my pleasure to be with you.
Congratulations on your new appointment as the head of the Customs. This is our first face-to-face interview since you took office a few months ago. But let me ask you, what's the broad outline of your new direction for the Nigerian Customs now that consider your years of experience with the organization that I've seen you now at the very top of its leadership?
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity given me for this interview. The vision for the Customs Administration has been enunciated a couple of times. I believe that we need to stay very, very close and engaged with our stakeholders. I believe that we could use a number of initiatives, particularly technology initiatives, to address very complex and knotty issues confronting customs administrations. And I also believe that we are not starting from ground zero. There are a number of other reforms and initiatives on ground which we needed to consolidate upon. So it will be consolidation, consultations, and of course using technology initiatives to address issues.
What would you be prioritizing, Mr. Comptroller General, in terms of the outline of what you intend to do, the new direction you would like to see the customs go? Give me your top 3 priorities.
Well, the first would be for us to align what we want to do in customs with the thinking of the new administration. President Ahmed Tinubu came under the mantra of renewed hope, aimed at rebuilding the economy, giving hope to Nigerians, economic prosperity. And some of the issues before us in this sector would include the issue of port competitiveness, the issue of port efficiency, and the policy advisory document enunciated by the administration was very, very clear on some of the directions which the government wanted to go. So we're happy to align to some of this, and very, very key amongst this is the introduction of the single window technology to drive operations in the port. The Honorable Minister of Finance has been very, very clear on this particular initiative, to take charge, to take control of this initiative, to deploy and install single window for clearance of goods in the ports. And all stakeholders, including customs, are expected to sign up and follow the lead provided by the minister in this particular category. I'm also coming to office after 8 years of the tenure of my predecessor, who had a very strong personality. So this raises a number of challenges for me coming in as an insider. So expectations are quite high. The pressure to perform are there. And I must say in the last 6 months, we've given this challenge our best. We've raised revenue up by about 37%. And remaining challenge would be for us to have a process to engage our officers and our stakeholders. Officers have these feelings that because of a prolonged years of presence of an outsider in customs, the issue of career progression, the issue of motivation were not there. So we have a challenge to ensure that we address some of these issues so that we can move ahead. The third priority, I would say, will be leveraging technology for customs operations. There is so much that we can gain. We can leapfrog our revenue. We can increase the efficiency of patrol, of our enforcement, if we deploy technology into our program. So in a nutshell, these are some of the priorities which I would be hoping to pursue in 2024.
Well, if you look at Nigeria's revenue domestically, I'm sure customs revenue comes within the top 3. So that shows how critical and how important your agency is in terms of the revenue that the government really needs, as we see the government looking at that very quickly. But again, there have been calls that there should be a separation of the customs, the revenue aspect of it, so that the agency can focus more on law enforcement and security at the country's borders. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, it all depends on the perspective which you are seeing it. If you are looking at our responsibility from the narrow perspective of revenue generation, well, you could say that. But then what we do in customs goes beyond the mandate of revenue. Customs administrations all over the world are actually moving from this emphasis on revenue generation to things that speak to trade facilitation, security, and all of that. And if you take a look at our acts, the Nigerian Customs Service Act, copious provisions are made to issues that would help in facilitating trade. And the good thing about facilitation of trade is that, it has a twin advantage. So as you are facilitating trade, it also gives the opportunity for you to increase the opportunities for revenue generation. So it depends on the perspectives in which you are looking at it. The trend is the same all over the world. If we bring in things like initiatives like the African Continental Free Trade Agreements, for example, this is an area that is meant to create a very big market for the continent, and through that bringing prosperity to 1 billion plus people in Africa. So these are areas where customs is expected to play a very big role. These are areas where revenue will be put to the back burner, while we'll emphasize more issues that has to do with development of export markets, development of SMEs, and of course earning forex for the economy. So these are not revenue issues, but they are indeed very, very big aspect of the customs mandates.
Very interesting. So we've seen about you've raised your exchange rate quotation for imported goods about twice over the past 6 months. Why is that so? What should Nigerians expect in terms of customs clearing rate?
Well, the new administration has not made any pretension towards the fact that it was going to take a number of very, very bold decisions and reforms aimed at repositioning the Nigerian economy, and reforms that will bring sustainable change over a long period of time. So one of the reforms that has been undertaken is the merger of the forex market, the various segments of the forex markets, which has been merged in the very few days of the new administration. And so this has repercussions. This has effects on our operations. So what it means is that we cannot use rates independently that are not determined or that are not specified through these merged windows. So what we do is just to update our system. So it is not about customs using or increasing the rates. We had nothing to do with whether the rate goes up or whether the rate goes down. We follow what is prescribed for us by the regulatory authority for monetary affairs, which is the Central Bank of Nigeria.
So the Minister of Finance has directed the removal of import duty and VAT on imported steel and electric vehicles. Is the customs going to implement this new direction?
Of course, we are going to implement this and other fiscal policies directed by the federal government of Nigeria. There are a number of other directives along this line meant to engineer developments in the various sectors that are critical for economic the economic recovery program. Of course, you remember the 7% removal of 7% VAT on VAT on LPG, gas, and all of that. So these are all part of efforts which government is taking to revive our economy. And customs as an agency, of course, we don't have any choice. We really have to not only implement, we have the obligation to communicate this and let Nigerians understand the rationale behind some of these policies and facilitate their implementation.
So you just talked about the EFCFTA and trade facilitation, and I love that. That's music to my ears. But before that, technology is key here, and you've mentioned that a few times since we started this interview. So how will this be not just for the customs, but for other stakeholders you need to work with? If you update and you're up to speed as far as technology is concerned, what about other stakeholders, the customs clearing agents or freight forwarders and other agencies that you need to work together with? Are you on the same page on this?
Well, this has been our story in the last 20 years. They have to be on the same page with us because we know that we cannot do it alone. So we make very conscious efforts to ensure that we carry them along every step of the way. From our previous experiences, we start with a kind of a change management program. We bring them up for sensitization and creation of awareness. We do pilot tests with them before we eventually deploy it. And as we speak, there is no stakeholder, at least the critical stakeholders, that we've left behind. Sometimes we have problems of interoperability of our systems, and it really doesn't get us. It doesn't really take much time for us to achieve some kind of for us to bring our systems together to have a handshake and so that we can be on the same page. So if we talk about the financial institutions that are involved in collection of duties, if you talked about the customs agents, the customs importers, so many of them are taking advantage of all the platforms that we have created. So customs agents can stay within the confines of their offices, and then they can make their declarations to our system. Banks, of course, they also have systems that have been linked to us. So all the major customs agencies, government agencies that are also involved in the chain, we are also in sync with them to ensure that there is system compatibility. So it's going to be a process that we continue. So as we upgrade and take on new technologies, we will make conscious efforts. It will be a part of our plans to ensure that we carry them along, and they all have to adapt their technologies to us so that we can achieve mutually beneficial relationships.
Let's talk a little bit further on your officers, men and women, who put their lives on the line on a daily basis to ensure that the nation's borders are safe and that we have goods that are only approved to be brought into Nigeria. So how much more will you be doing for these men and women on the field in terms of making sure that their lives are not in much danger, as we have seen in times past when they face these criminal elements in smuggling and other forms of criminal activities?
Well, that was one of the first things that I felt I should do when I became Comptroller General, particularly attending to welfare issues that affect the welfare of our officers. And when you talk about that, you're talking about what their take-home pay will be, ensuring that allowances are paid as at the right time, making provision for insurance in case they come to some injuries in the course of their duties, and then most importantly, career progression. So this and others, we've made very conscious attempts as Comptroller General, working with my management to ensure that this is done. If you talk about motivation through career development, for example, a number of massive capacity building programs have been organized locally and internationally for our officers. In 2023, particularly in the second half, we had over 6,000 customs officers that went for different capacity programs at home and abroad. And the promotion exercise, which we used to roll over into the third, fourth, or fifth month. We ensured that we started it in Q3 2023, and by the end of Q4 2023, the promotion exercise has been completed, and over 2,400 officers benefited from the exercise. So these are some of the ways in which we can motivate them. In 2024, we had the target to generate 5.1 trillion. This is quite doable, but we believe that we need to motivate our officers a little bit more. The last salary review we had was over 5 years ago. I think we are due for another review. We would take a second look at some of the allowances which officers have been collecting to do their job. We look at exit packages for officers who are retiring so that they will be able to concentrate on the job while they are still on active service. And I believe that in all of this, we have the cooperation of the Honorable Minister of Finance, who has openly expressed support for these initiatives. He is the chairman of the Nigerian Customs Service Board. The board has been inaugurated, and we have good understanding with them. And secondly, we have very good understanding with the National Assembly through the committees that are oversighting our mandates.
Okay, just to sum it up, I'm sure you would like to have a more leeway as far as the Customs and Excess Management Act is concerned. I'm sure you'd want to see more harmonization of operations within the ports with other sister agencies, the quarantine and others, the MPA, to ensure that goods are cleared as and when due very quickly in and out. How much more would you like to see get done in this area as you get boots to the ground into a new year?
Yeah, I must say that the authors, those who are behind the Nigeria Customs Service Act 2023, had anticipated that for customs operations, we need an act, we need a legislative environment that takes into consideration all of these issues that you've talked about, particularly creating the right environment to facilitate trade, to ensure that Nigeria becomes a profitable trading community. And some of these specific provisions in the Act points towards the fact that we envisage that in 2024 and the years beyond, we will take more proactive efforts. I talked about initiatives and provisions like the use of authorized economic operators, the use of advanced ruling. These are all specifically provided for, and particularly also the dispute resolution system to ensure that customs will not no longer be the accused and the judge in cases that involve importers and agents. So all these initiatives are provided, and we have taken measures to begin implementation of this initiative right from the first quarter of 2024.
All right, we wish you all the best. Thank you so much for speaking with us, Arise exclusively. Thank you, and we congratulate you on your new appointment. Wish you all the best. Bashir Adeniyi, who is the Nigeria Comptroller General of the Customs.